Assalamu alaikum students, I'm Mrs. Mazera here, your Pakistan Studies teacher. As you know, we have already learned about the first chapter, ideological basis of Pakistan. This is our second chapter we will start now. The name of the chapter is historical background. So the first SLO is all about trace the origin and evolution of the two-nation theory with reference to socio-economic and political conditions of Indian Muslims from 1857 onwards. So, War of Independence 1857. By the 1850s, the British were confident that their control over the Indian subcontinent was secure. But in 1857, British authority was challenged by a violent uprising. Although this attempt at revolution failed, its legacy was to inspire later generations to seek independence for their own countries. There is a lot of disagreement about the causes and importance of the revolt. So let's watch the video. After the video, we will discuss about the causes and impacts of the war.
Historians termed the revolt as India's first war of independence. The rebellion was started by the sepoys of Meerut. What led them to the riot? Poor salary and abuse by the British officers were the major reasons for their resentment. The rumor that the cartridge in the newly supplied Enfield rifles were greased with the fat of cows and pigs provoked them. It wounded the religious sentiments of the Hindu and Muslim soldiers. The soldiers who were unwilling to use the new cartridge were punished by the officers. In Barakpur in Bengal, Mangal Pandey, an Indian soldier, shot a British officer who forced him to use the new cartridge. He was arrested and hanged to death. People from all walks of life, including kings, farmers, craftsmen, took part in the rebellion. The British rule had adversely affected the king too. In addition to the doctrine of lapse, the princely states were convicted of inefficient rule and were annexed by the British. This made kings to lead the rebellion. Along with the kings and the sepoys, common people also took part in the revolt. They attacked the British and moneylenders and set fire to their account books, deeds, and documents of transactions. The salient feature of this rebellion was the active participation of the common people like farmers and craftsmen. Out of 1.5 lakhs of people who were killed in the riots at Awadh, a princely state, 1 lakh were the common people. The real strength of the rebellion was the Hindu-Muslim unity. A spirit of cooperation existed among soldiers, common people, and the leaders. The rioters captured Delhi and declared Bahadur Shah II as the Emperor of India. Rioters could not overcome the superior military power of the British, and the rebellion was completely suppressed. Though the revolt could not succeed completely, it was marked as the foremost massive resistance of the Indian against the British. It brought about several changes in the policies and administration of the British. The British Parliament took over India from the British East India Company. However, the economic exploitation of the British reached its extreme level in the post-1857 phase. In the second half of the 19th century, around 2 crores of people died spread over 24 great famines.
Okay boys, as you already watched, this war was fought in 1857 by Indians against the British in order to get rid of their domination. It is also given name as Indian Rebellion, Indian Mutiny, as well as Indian Revolt. The main causes of the war were political, social, economical, military, and religious. So, first cause, political cause. Introduction of doctrine of lapse in 1852 to control the state which did not have natural hire. It was a rule It was a law by which British government can take control of the states which did not have natural hire, then mistreated the Mughal emperors. Annexation of Punjab, Sindh and northwest frontier provinces. As you know, it was shameful act from British in the subcontinent. Heavy taxes on landlords. People hated paying land tax made compulsory by the British for all Indians. British officers insulted the native people. Then the social causes of the war: oppression of poor people, corruption in administration. British introduced their culture and disrespected the Indian culture. Then in English education, the steam engine and the electric telegraph threatened Indian culture. British thought that Indians were uneducated and uncivilized people. The landlords were denied the right of adaptation of land. Now, economical causes of the war. Many Indians were poor because the British filled the Indian markets with cheap mass-produced goods. Corruption in administration, mishandled the famines in India, drain of wealth, transfer of Indian revenue to England, discouraged local cottage and handicrafts industries, introduced the British goods in local market. Local rulers had their land seized by the British. Then military causes: ill treatment of Indian soldiers, lower salaries of Indian sepoy or soldiers, less chances of promotion of Indian soldiers, introduction of greased cartridges in army, greased with cow and pig fat. Indian soldiers refused to use the greased cartridges because Hindus were not supposed to use cow fats and Muslims were not supposed to use pig fats. Then religious causes of the war. In the religious causes, we have promotion of Christianity. Christian missionaries insulted deeply held beliefs of all Indians. Imposed Christianity forcibly on the Indians. Interference in religious matters or rituals of Indians. Converting local people to the Christianity. Established churches and missionary schools. Now, what are the impacts of War of Independence? Before impacts of War of Independence, first we have to know that the uprising was succeeded or failed by the local Indians. For the local Indians, in the war, the local Indians were defeated by the British, and after it, British were officially announced that they were the masters of India. So why did the uprising fail? What were the reason behind it? So the uprising failed because the aim of rebels were vague and confused. They mostly wanted to restore their old rulers and customs. Very few thoughts of a united Indian ruling itself. Then there is no single leadership came forward who could command respect and motivate people to join the rebellion. There was no coordination between different areas of unrest and no overall plan of action. Then disunity between different groups of people of various faiths and in different regions did not set aside their differences and joined together to resist the British. Most ordinary people took no part. Then British determination. The British would not let go and finally overwhelmed the rebels. Many local people remained loyal and even fought for the British. After their early mistakes, the British had better leadership. Now have a look to impacts. What were the effects of the war? It was an extremely effort made by Indians, but they failed due to certain reasons including mutual jealousies, disunity and lack of central leadership, etc. British ended the Mughal rule. Last Mughal Emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar was exiled to Rangoon. British government abolished the East India Company in 1858. Then rise of nationalism in Indians. British started divide and rule policy. Widening gulf between Hindus and Muslims imposed heavy taxes on Indians. After the end of the war, officially British rule was started, which lasted August 1947 in India. Now you have assignment. Attempt the MCQs on the following address on Testmos and submit your scores or take a pic of your score, as well as you have to attach on at KP. Then answer the following questions in your notebook. Discuss the 5 long-term causes of the War of Independence 1857. The next is War of Independence was started with the great motivation of Indians, but it was failed to drive out the British from India. Discuss any 2 reasons for this failure.